US President Donald Trump has said that he would announce his decision on the Iran nuclear deal today. On Twitter, Trump said he would announce his decision on whether to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal today at 1800 Greenwich Mean Time. Trump has threatened to withdraw from the deal, which provided Iran with relief from sanctions in exchange for limiting its uranium enrichment capacity, unless European signatories to the accord fix what he has called its shortcomings. Earlier, Trump had tweeted about what he said was former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry's possibly illegal shadow diplomacy. It was just yesterday when Iranian President Hassan Rouhani warned that if the United States quits the nuclear deal, then Washington will regret it like never before. Rouhani made the statement during a televised speech. Trump's tweet on the announcement of his decision comes as British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson scrambles to save the agreement during talks with the Trump administration in Washington, D.C. Johnson has appealed to the U.S. president not to pull out of the Iran nuclear deal, saying the deal had weaknesses, but they could be addressed given time. And earlier we spoke with our correspondent in Washington, Harry Horton. Let's listen in to what he had to say. Right. Harry, let's also get into some of the background out here. Trump has threatened to scrap the 2015 accord, saying the Obama administration struck a bad deal for the U.S. Why does he say so?
Well, Donald Trump thinks the deal is bad for a number of reasons. One of those reasons is he doesn't think the deal addresses Iran's ballistic missile program. He'd like to see more focus on that. He thinks that it doesn't address Iran's wider activities in the region. The US considers Iran to be a destabilizing country involved in lots of different conflicts in the Middle East, and they think that the Iran nuclear deal does nothing to address that. And they also think that the so-called sunset clauses in the agreement are a problem. So in the Iran nuclear deal at the moment, there is a ban on Iran enriching uranium. That clause phases out by the year 2025, and the US isn't happy with the fact that after 2025, Iran can begin enriching uranium again. So they'd like to see all those different parts of the deal addressed. Now, for what it's worth, European partners in the deal have said that they will try and negotiate some sort of side agreement that addresses those US concerns, and that's the argument they've been putting to President Trump over the past few weeks. But from all the indications we've seen here in Washington, it doesn't look as though that sort of side agreement will satisfy President Trump. But as I say, we'll have to wait and see exactly what the president announces when he makes his decision, or makes his decision public, 18 GMT on Tuesday.
So, Harry, that brings me to my next question. UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, he has appealed to US President not to tear up the Iran nuclear deal. Are you saying that will also not have an impact on Trump?
Well, so far it doesn't seem that way. I mean, the UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson has been in Washington all of Monday meeting with Trump administration officials. He met with the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. He met with the US Vice President Mike Pence. But crucially, he couldn't get an audience with the US President Donald Trump. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, it was before Boris Johnson, the UK Foreign Secretary, had even finished all his meetings with the Trump administration that President Trump tweeted out saying he was ready to make his announcement. So, again, the signs, the indications we have suggest that Boris Johnson's trip wasn't enough to persuade the president to stick with this agreement for now.
All right. Let's come to Iran now, Harry. Iran, of course, has been warning the US against pulling out of the deal. What happens if it actually happens?
Well, we don't know. I mean, that's one of the biggest questions. Will Iran choose to stick with the agreement if the US slaps on these heavy sanctions on Iran? You know, many people in Iran argue, well, what's the point of us being part of this agreement if we're not going to get any of the economic benefits that we were promised with the lifting of these sanctions? Again, the details here will be crucial. If the United States slaps on sanctions, but, for example, allows European companies and European countries to maintain economic ties with Iran, there might be a reason there for Iran to stay in the nuclear agreement with those European countries and China and Russia as well. But it all depends on the detail from the US point of view that we'll hear from President Trump when he makes his announcements.